There's few greater joys in gaming than fellow players joining together to complete a common goal, whether that's mowing down hordes of enemies, building up your tools and weapons to survive in the wilderness, or solving puzzles within intricate platforming games. Whatever the case may be, co-op games are the perfect way to enjoy time with your friends and loved ones. With that in mind, we've combed through the history of gaming to find the 25 best co-op games ever made. From the power of friendship to the power of screaming at ghosts, if you're itching for some games to enjoy with friends, grab your finest Mad Catz controllers and multi-taps and start playing these absolute whippers. But first, we just wanted to let you know that memberships are currently open. For just £1 or Freedom Dollar a month, you can get early access to videos, a badge in the comments section, and absolution for any ad blocking for the rest of time. Also, we may never have to mention a VPN. That would be good, wouldn't it? Number 25, Unravel 2. While it might not be the one true key to a platform game's success, a tried and tested method of achieving a decent amount of support is by having a cute mascot that the community at large can fawn over. People will always love cute things, especially in gaming, which is why Unravel is a top-tier platforming game. Who doesn't love a cute little yarn about a cute little yarn guy made of yarn called Yarny? That's why the sequel, Unravel 2, is even better, as there's double the Yarnies running around. Co-op has rarely ever been this adorable. While Unravel 2 can be played solo, with the player switching control between both the red and blue Yarny, the game comes into its elements when played in couch co-op, allowing 2 players to control a Yarny each. As both characters are tied together by a thread, you'll need to figure out some creative solutions to the game's various puzzles and hazards, making for an entertaining and thrilling co-op experience. If you really love conjoined co-op games as well, consider giving Fogs a go too. Number 24, Escape Academy. Depending on who you ask, organising an escape room visit can either be one of the most fun social activities you can have, or an exercise in restraint as you stop yourself from launching your nearest friend into a wall. Getting a group of friends together in one place might be tricky though, especially as a fully grown adult with bad knees and responsibilities and I'm getting so old. So sometimes it's better to opt for the digital version. If you want that iconic escape room experience without having to ask some unseen staff member in the void if you can go to the toilet, Escape Academy is the game for you. As students in their titular Escape Academy, you'll enter various rooms filled with puzzles related to a different academic subject, and will have to solve clues and other minigames in order to escape as quickly as possible. Players are then graded based on how well they did, giving you an incentive to do your very best, so you're not shamed by your friends. While the game's fully playable in single player, the collaborative nature of escape rooms in general means Escape Academy comes alive in online co-op, making for one of the best co-op games out there. Number 23, Borderlands 2. Looter shooters are the perfect fodder for a co-op experience, pitting you and a group of friends against endless hordes of enemies on the quest for infinite loot. While there have been a few examples of this genre over the years, none have really quite captured the feeling of it like the Borderlands series, and across the 4 games, 5 if you include Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, you've got plenty of missions, characters and weapons to sink your teeth into. However, if you and your mates are just looking to skip to the best one, Borderlands 2 is the shout here. The best mix of gameplay, story and humour, Borderlands 2 follows the same-ish plot of the first game, with a plucky group of vault hunters trying to find a mysterious alien vault to gain its treasure. Unfortunately for this group of hunters, they have to contend with the villainous Handsome Jack, who bombards the player with narcissistic rants and monologues while you're playing. It's funny. We swear. Mostly. Okay, so sometimes it's a bit annoying like, but at least it's not as bad as Borderlands 3 was. Number 22, Stardew Valley. Look, we'll concede that Stardew Valley is traditionally a single-player game, and sometimes those chill, cozy vibes are easier to obtain when you're not trying to convince up to 7 other players to come and toil away on your homestead. However, the cozy gaming king and arguably best farming simulator on the market does support full co-op play, both locally and online. If you're feeling like the responsibility of managing a farm is getting a bit too much to handle on your own, Stardew Valley's co-op mode is excellent. How Stardew Valley handles its co-op elements is fantastic, as instead of just lumping the additional players as farmhands for the host player to boss about, each player is given their own property on the farm and is free to explore, help out and bond with the townspeople. Of course, that also means that the cooperative side of Stardew Valley can quickly turn competitive, as players essentially race to win the affections of one of the various NPCs in the town. Get your heads off Petty Us or our collection of pixels first. Number 21, Phasmophobia. What? I'm pretty sure that's how it's said. I think it is. Ever wanted to join a ghost hunt but you're too scared to hang around in an abandoned building at 2 AM? Yeah, we get it, but that's why games like Phasmophobia are pretty cool, as it turns the hunt for the paranormal into one of the most innovative games and interesting co-op games out there. If you've got a couple of mates who don't mind the occasional scare, or 20, or you're just looking for a horror-themed multiplayer game that'll be slightly less infuriating than Dead by Daylight, there's no pallets in this one, thank Christ. Phasmophobia is well worth checking out. You and a team of up to 3 others are paranormal investigators hired by various contractors to explore buildings and find the ghostly presence within. Crucially, you're looking for evidence of what ghost is haunting the area, as Phasmophobia includes over 20 ghost types, pulling inspiration from different cultures and mythology from around the world. What makes Phasmophobia utterly terrifying though is the usage of proximity chat, meaning oftentimes you'll never see the terror, you'll just hear it happen to your mates instead. Endless fun. Number 20, Halo Reach. During the halcyon 360 days of the Xbox, before public opinion on the company/brand had soured based on some absolutely terrible decisions, the console was the uncrowned king of the co-op gamers, with plenty of co-op experiences to enjoy across Xbox Live. While Gears of War and its various sequels are also co-op masterclasses, we're given the nod to Halo Reach here, as it's one of the best co-op games on 360, or any platform for that matter. While much has been said about Halo's multiplayer offerings, and rightly so, I mean, come on, Halo Reach was arguably the pinnacle of the series' co-op offerings. Not only is there the co-op campaign, which was tradition at this point in the series, Reach perfected the firefight survival game mode, pitting teams of 4 Spartans against the full might of the Covenant. With a brilliant campaign and the endlessly replayable firefight, Halo Reach is a co-op must-have. Number 19, Lethal Company. If you're looking at this list, chances are you already know and have maybe even played Lethal Company already. The breakout hit of 2023 as far as indie games were concerned, Lethal Company quickly became positioned as your favourite streamer's favourite game. While still a popular and beloved title, especially now that it's in Fortnite, the hype for Lethal Company content isn't quite as fervent as it once was, but that doesn't change the fact that the gameplay of Lethal Company remains some of the best co-op gaming you can have. There was a word missing there on the script, I don't know if you can tell. The premise of Lethal Company is simple, as you fly to different planets trying to find treasure you can extract with to earn profit. So far so relatively standard, but what makes Lethal Company a real delight and a hoot to play is the randomly generated levels and combinations of threats you can encounter. Beyond that, there's also an infinite capacity for shenanigans, as the game utilises proximity voice chat to add to the terror and humour of the whole experience. There's nothing like leading an unassuming group of friends to their deaths just to hear them scream at you. Ah, bless. Number 18, Monster Hunter Rise. Capcom has done an incredible job over the past half-decade of turning the Monster Hunter franchise from a popular yet still niche franchise to a genuine pillar of the company's plans. Monster Hunter World brought the series' excellent gameplay and formula to its widest audience yet, making for an incredibly fun online co-op game. But the follow-up release, Monster Hunter Rise, just might be even better. Always saying that because Rise has a cute dog companion called a Palamute? Maybe. The gameplay loop for Monster Hunter Rise is the same as it ever was, with players hunting down monsters. What the hell? What? To earn loot and materials, which can then be used to craft stronger weapons and armor to hunt tougher monsters. Invite a couple of friends to join you in online co-op and run through that formula a couple of times, and before you know it, hundreds of hours will have passed and you'll either be the strongest hunters in the game or stuck on a tough boss for half of it. Still, it's incredibly fun. Honestly now, and the food looks really nice. Number 17, Powerwash Simulator. Not every co-op game needs to see its players fighting against the forces of evil or collecting powerful equipment. Sometimes you just need to chill out and accomplish a simple, satisfying goal. Cleaning a bit of dirt off someone's Volkswagen. Enter Powerwash Simulator, which lets players loose with a huge spray gun and orders you to clean houses, fire stations, vehicles, ancient monuments, and everything in between. Though the mystery of how these places get covered in so much dirt in the first place never gets solved. As a co-op game, Powerwash Simulator is about as uncomplicated as it gets, but there's something mesmerising about the low-stakes, slower gameplay on offer here compared to a more fast-paced shooter. Stick some music on Spotify and invite a few friends to play, and you've got a perfect hangout session, as Powerwash Simulator occupies everyone in the background. Ah, nice. Number 16, Streets of Rage 4. Beat-em-ups have been the backbone of co-op gaming ever since the early days of the hobby itself. Back when it was more common to find video games in your local arcade than under your television, a lot of the games you'd find in those establishments were beat-em-ups, allowing 2 or more players to unite against hordes of goons. There's plenty of beat-em-ups around these days keeping that spirit alive, and a lot of them are worth your time, including River City Girls, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, and Double Dragon Neon. But for our money, there's no topping Streets of Rage 4. A revitalization of this long-running scrapper from Sega, Streets of Rage 4 deftly combines old mechanics and characters with a new art style, new moves and abilities, and a new generation of characters who are just as memorable and fun as the old guard. Throw in the Mr. X Nightmare DLC, which adds a roguelike survival mode along with new moves and 3 additional playable characters, and Streets of Rage 4 is an easy co-op game to recommend. Even its predecessors have held up pretty well over the years if you're looking to play some throwbacks. Number 15, Human Fall Flat. Ages ago, indie games hit upon a winning formula for success, which is physics bollocks plus multiplayer equals fun for all the family, which is why games like Goat Simulator and others have become smash hit successes. One physics-based game of that type has proven beyond all others to not be a flash in the pan though, and that's Human Fall Flat, as the physics-based platformer has gone from leaps and bounds since its launch in 2016, though most of that success can be attributed to the online multiplayer that dropped in 2017. Like any regular platformer, you'll be making your way through levels, jumping over obstacles and solving puzzles as you go, but the catch is that everything is governed by physics, and you're playing a blob person who can grab and move things and is about as easy to control as a pouty teenager. Cue lots of shenanigans, especially when up to 8 players can get involved at the same time, as the gameplay rapidly devolves into an impromptu Royal Rumble. Number 14, Risk of Rain 2. Balancing a roguelike must be difficult at the best of times, given how ridiculous builds can become by the time players reach the endgame, so imagine throwing 4-player co-op into the mix on top of that. That's precisely what the mad lads over at Hoppo Games did with Risk of Rain 2 though, and somehow it's still a brutally hard experience for those who are completely unprepared. Fortunately, it's also one of the best co-op games you can play, and chances are that you'll be running this one again and again and again just to get it right. Like most roguelikes, Risk of Rain 2 follows a run-based gameplay loop, where players try to find the teleporter to move on to the next level, fighting enemies and bosses while gaining loot and leveling up all the while. Once a run is over, you'll reset from the beginning and do the whole thing over again. But Risk of Rain 2 makes sure to keep you coming back for more with plenty of permanent rewards to unlock. Managing to get a full squad powered up in this game is a truly ace feeling. Number 13, Cuphead. What we said about beat-em-ups earlier in this list is also true of shoot-em-ups, and while they're certainly not as common as they used to be back into early days, they're still incredible co-op games today. Games like Contra and Metal Slug, or even more modern titles like Blazing Chrome and Huntdown. Oh, that game rules! Stick a gun in the player's hands and tell them to fight against an entire armada, but the best of them all might just be Cuphead. Just be warned, as this'll definitely test your friendships. As Cuphead and Mugman, you'll set off on a journey to defeat a bunch of bosses in order to pay off your debt to the literal devil. Through 3 islands of levels, you'll face off against dozens of bosses, with the game making great use of the iconic rubber hose inspired animation style to create some memorable characters and moments. Again, it's a tough nut to crack to say the least, but if you find a dedicated and loyal friend or partner willing to play with you, this is a great co-op game to play. We apologise for any smash controllers during the run and gun levels though. Number 12, The Forest. Survival games and co-op go together like peanut butter and jelly, or so I'm assured in America. What? Who did that? Crafting shelter, tools and weaponry to survive in a hostile environment is a daunting task on your own, so recruiting some friends to suffer alongside you definitely makes the whole endeavour a whole lot more fun. While there are games like Ark, Rust and others which also nail the survival genre, nothing has ever come close to matching the tension and pure terror that comes from playing The Forest. Stick this on for about an hour and you'll turn into that guy from Predator, guaranteed. After a plane crashes into a remote forest, the same forest from the game's name if you can believe that, you control a father looking for their missing son as you attempt to fashion essentials in this hostile environment. While the various woodland creatures might not give you that much trouble, the horde of mutated cannibals will probably have you for breakfast if you're not careful. The Forest might sound best as a single player game, but there's also some pretty incredibly fun co-op too, and yes, all the players in the lobby are playing as the father, in what can be described as 3 men and a baby with Cronenberg-esque body horror. Number 11, Baldur's Gate 3. Experienced adventurers might be a little bit shocked to see Baldur's Gate 3 a little bit lower down on the list, but that's not to say the game isn't really still very fun in co-op. Plus you can't really do absolutely whatever you want with witnesses. Working together with other players to formulate strategies on how to deal with the game's various threats and puzzles makes for an RPG experience unlike many others. But Baldur's Gate 3 encourages each player to create their own character, and there's something to be said about adventuring with the regular party members instead. Having to leave Astarion at camp is heartbreaking, honestly. Stupid. Sexy vampire elf. That doesn't mean that the co-op isn't worth playing though, as if you can find 3 friends to form an adventuring party with, the opportunity for mischief and mayhem goes through the roof. Baldur's Gate 3 does an excellent job of making each player feel like they're an important part of the adventure too, instead of one player just hogging all of the events and cutscenes. Players can pursue relationships with party characters independently of the host, or even trigger battles while other players are off exploring. Yes, everyone will just stand there for 20 minutes waiting for a turn, while the out-of-action players can position themselves for stealth kills, and it's daft. And look at that, we got through an entry on Baldur's Gate 3 without mentioning that you can have sex with a bear. Oh, fuck. Number 10, Deep Rock Galactic. Rock and Stone has been a chant that's united friend groups together for years now, and Deep Rock Galactic certainly shows no signs of slowing down. In its simplest form, Deep Rock follows the same horde shooter formula of games that have come before it, but its combination of weapons, mission structure and level design coalesced to create one of the best co-op games ever made. Unless you don't like being attacked by hordes of bugs, of course. As a group of dwarves, you've travelled across the galaxy to mine planets for all their minerals, which obviously isn't being taken well by the native creatures. Between collecting resources, you'll also have to fend off thousands of creatures as you complete your objectives, with players picking one of several classes to help the team succeed. If mining a planet for all its natural resources while shouting the same catchphrase past the point of irony sounds like a good time to you, Deep Rock Galactic is well worth checking out. Number 9, Overcooked All You Can Eat Edition. I've just had a roast dinner, I'm quite... all I've eaten can... edition... what? We might have earmarked Cuphead as a game that'll test the limits of a relationship, but if you really want to put the kind of strain on things that only months of therapy can heal, Overcooked is the game for you. The first game introduced players to a chaotic brand of couch co-op that required near perfect communication to succeed, and the sequel, Overcooked 2, only amplified those elements with tougher levels, more elaborate gimmicks, and plenty of kitchen fires. We don't think you can lock your mates in a freezer though, which is a shame. However, for this list, Overcooked All You Can Eat Edition gets the nod, as it bundles together levels, characters and DLC from both games to create the ultimate Overcooked experience. Along with improved graphics and resolution for both, the All You Can Eat Edition adds full crossplay to the levels from the first game too, along with a first time ever assist mode to allow players of all kinds to enjoy the games. It's silly, tough, but ever so satisfying when you finally manage to get 3 stars on a level. Just don't think your skills in Overcooked will translate to an actual restaurant kitchen. That's how we got thrown out of Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. Number 8, LEGO Marvel Superheroes. Putting the LEGO games on a list of the best co-op games feels like a no-brainer, but the real struggle comes with nailing down which LEGO game to spotlight. There isn't really a bad one in the bunch, it's just a case of what you're looking for or which licenses you get the most enjoyment out of. I mean, I had more fun with LEGO Hobbit than all 3 of the films that didn't need to be 3 films. Elsewhere, LEGO City Undercover is an underrated original pick, while LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is arguably the best of LEGO's many Star Wars games, but we reckon LEGO Marvel Superheroes is the superlative LEGO experience. As far as LEGO co-op games go, Marvel Superheroes boasts everything you'd want, including drop-in, drop-out couch co-op, bags of replayability thanks to the series' trademark free play mode, and plenty of Marvel jokes and Easter eggs that'll give true fans a real kick. Sure, the flying controls for characters like Iron Man can be a bit finicky, but this is still a real banger of a LEGO game. If you enjoy it, there's also a sequel and Avengers-specific LEGO game, while DC fans can sink their teeth into both LEGO Batman and LEGO DC supervillains. Still waiting for Mega Bloks of the boys though. Still waiting. Number 7, A Way Out. 2018 feels like such a lifetime ago, doesn't it? Back then, Hazelight's A Way Out dropped and it felt like a true revelation. The story of 2 criminals, Leo and Vincent, who meet in prison and attempt a jailbreak in order to enact a shared revenge on a criminal overlord, A Way Out felt like the first co-op game to actually marry story and gameplay together, creating a cinematic co-op experience unlike any before or since. The only other game that's remotely similar to A Way Out was also made by Hazelight, funnily enough, and we'll get to that later. While A Way Out is broadly an action-adventure game, the game does an excellent job of throwing new sequences and mechanics at the player, ensuring the story never gets old. However, despite the action and excitement, it's the quieter moments of A Way Out where the magic begins to shine, as the game explores this burgeoning relationship between Vincent and Leo. Will they be able to keep trust in one another to accomplish their goal, or will they end up killing each other because Leo lost a game of Connect 4 to Vincent? Number 6, Sea of Thieves. Is Rare's Pirate Simulator technically a co-op game? It definitely wasn't at launch, but with the release of private servers in December 2023, now you don't have any pesky rival pirate crews sinking your ships and stealing your loot. As a PvPvE game, that's always difficult to say, there was always an element of danger when playing Sea of Thieves with friends, as you could easily be attacked by other crews within a moment's notice, making it hard to recommend as a strictly co-op game. Now though, you can plunder, pillage and stick your face in some pirate booty to your heart's content. Sea of Thieves might have been sailing some rough waters during its initial launch, but Rare have spent 6 years post-launch writing the ship and introducing a host of worthwhile updates to the game. New modes, new quests, new challenges, and even a few choice collaborations are just some of the excellent features that have been added to Sea of Thieves since launch. And with the game now available on even more platforms, Rare has definitely found their sea legs with this one. Sorry, these nautical puns really tie us up in knots. Number 5, it's the underrated indie hit Minecraft. It's the king, queen, lord, ruler and pinnacle of the survival game genre for a reason for many, as Minecraft is the juggernaut that simply refuses to stop, no matter how much Mojang might try to curtail its momentum, with mob votes leaving a sour taste in the community's mouth. Still, even if Minecraft isn't quite the same game that people fell in love with back in the early to mid 2010s, it remains one of the most popular cooperative games of all time for a reason. It's just damn fun to play. What makes Minecraft so truly special is that it's really what you and your friends choose to make of it. If you want to play the game as a traditional survival title, digging through the earth and various realms to find the best materials and loot, you can do that. But if you and your friends want to create some kind of gaudy monument, a massive castle or anything else you can imagine, there's room to do that too. If video games are art, for many people Minecraft is the easel. Number 4, Helldivers 2. Despite Sony's best efforts in trying to torpedo any goodwill and trust Arrowhead might have built, Helldivers 2 still remains the breakout hit of 2024. Spreading managed democracy across the galaxy as one of the bravest warriors humanity has ever known has become a core part of most gaming group schedules, and it's not hard to see why, as Arrowhead has crafted a co-op experience that feels unlike anything else on the market. Dropping in as part of a team of up to 4 players, you'll travel to different planets, fighting either bugs or robots, along with a secret third enemy faction that's coming soon, probably, completing objectives in hope of earning better weapons and gear. While it sounds like a fairly standard game from that description, the magic of Helldivers 2 is that the entire player base is cooperating, as the liberation of planets and the completion of major orders depends on the success and failure of the community. No video game has united its player base quite like Helldivers 2, which is what makes it so fun to play and be a part of, until your stupid mate drops a 500kg bomb on your head. Number 3, Portal 2. Valve's allergy to the number 3 is going to come up again on this list, and while many cite Half-Life 3 as the main instance of Valve not giving players what they want, we can also look to the non-existent Portal 3 as proof that there is no God. If there was, we'd have a full co-op Portal game just like the multiplayer portion of Portal 2, which offers some of the most tightly designed, head-scratching yet rewarding puzzles in any co-op game out there. Portal 2's co-op levels were Valve flexing their big old brain boxes, and we wish there was more of it. Unlike the main story of Portal 2, which saw Chell once again deal with GLaDOS while the newcomer Wheatley is thrown into the mix, the co-op portion of the game saw GLaDOS testing 2 robots in a variety of new chambers. Functionally, the co-op was exactly the same as the main game, but the addition of another player armed with their own portal gun added an extra dimension to the puzzles, making for an experience that'll probably leave you scratching your head for a few hours before you figure things out. These puzzles are no joke, but when that solution finally becomes known, it's basically euphoria. Number 2, It Takes Two. Joseph Fares' studio Hazelight has been the byword in co-op experiences for a few years now, thanks to their work on A Way Out, which we obviously mentioned earlier on. Hazelight struck gold with their co-op centered gameplay and willingness to experiment with silly little mini-games. So they upped the ante in a huge way with their follow-up release, It Takes Two, the story of a married couple on the outs, transformed into small dolls and forced by a sentient book turned love guru to find what brought them together in the first place. While the story and characters aren't to everyone's taste, It Takes Two is the perfect co-op game for couples, testing their teamwork, coordination and communication skills with a series of platforming challenges and puzzles. Each world the player visits throws a new mechanic into the mix that gives each player their own powers and abilities, ensuring a different playthrough for both participants. Throw in the fact that only one player needs to own a copy for both to play the game online, and this is perhaps the best modern co-op game on the market. Number 1. Left 4 Dead 2. Very few games get to say that they birthed an entire genre of multiplayer games, but it's probably fair to say that the original Left 4 Dead gets that distinction. Before then, online co-op shooters where you face off against hordes of enemies were perhaps too ambitious for the time, with the closest examples being the Flood in Halo. But then Valve came along with Left 4 Dead and suddenly everyone was making co-op zombie games with Special Infected pouring out of the woodwork. Still, while the original Left 4 Dead introduced the concept, Left 4 Dead 2 perfected the formula entirely. Functionally speaking, Left 4 Dead 2 was the same game as the original, as evidenced by the fact that Valve made all the older campaigns playable in the sequel as free DLC, but the updates like melee weapons, new guns and upgrades like incendiary ammo added extra dimensions to the core game. New objectives like scavengers also helped to keep the finales fresh, while that ever-present director ensured that no two campaign runs were ever quite the same. If someone was going to ask for a quintessential example of co-op gaming, the answer could only be Left 4 Dead 2. Just maybe don't introduce your non-gamer girlfriend to The Witch. Boy howdy, that was a list. That was a list of the best co-op games of all time. If you want more lists, do a subscribe. I've been Jimmy for Culture Vulture. Bye!